Okay, so I want to talk to y'all about the nicotine withdrawal cycle. I know you're probably saying, oh, here's this some jerk trying to convince me not to smoke again. Well, I ain't trying to preach to anybody. I'm just trying to lay down the facts so that you understand what nicotine is actually doing and why you continue to smoke. So honestly, I'm not talking to everybody out there. If you're one of those who smokes and you want to smoke, you don't need to listen to this. You could benefit from hearing it, but you don't need to watch anymore. I'm talking to the people who don't want to smoke anymore, or at least tell themselves, yeah, I need to quit one day. Even if you're using a patch, you started vaping, I'm talking to you guys too. And the great example that I choose is if a genie shows up and he says, I'll grant you 3 wishes, anything you want, the caveat being, the one condition is you can't smoke a cigarette from this day forward. And if you do, you will be dead. 1 cigarette, 1 puff, you are dead. If you're one of the people who say, well, oh, and on top of that, you can still ask the genie, well, can I use one of those 3 wishes to remove that condition? And it's a cool genie. He says, yeah. You want to use one of your 3 wishes to remove that? Sure, we can do it. So basically, you only get 2 wishes then. If you're one of those people who are going to burn one of these 3 wishes to get cigarettes back into your life, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody out there who's going to use their 3 wishes to the best of their imagination. Okay? Talking to you guys. So I'm going to take it slow. Let's just talk about the nicotine withdrawal cycle and how that works. Well, first of all, the only reason you want a cigarette is because you have smoked a cigarette. Okay? What happens is you smoke a cigarette, inhale the smoke, which carries the chemical of nicotine into your bloodstream. It eventually enters your brain, and it works off the survival centers of the brain. So they call that center the reptile brain, but I prefer to look at it as the survival center, because when your survival center is activated, your survival is threatened. So much like air, the lack of air threatens your survival. The lack of nicotine is telling your brain, we're in a survival situation. We need to do what we can do to survive this. Get more. When you smoke the cigarette, the nicotine levels raise. They leave rather quickly. And as they leave, they trigger your survival center. Hey, our survival is threatened. We need to get more. We need to get more. Much like when you breathe air, your oxygen levels are high. As those levels come down, your survival center is threatened. Hey, we got to get more air. We got to get more air. And in fact, when your survival center is threatened, it also releases adrenaline and things of energy-giving nature so that you can do what you got to do to achieve this survival. So you're swimming, now you can swim even better. Right? Adrenaline is released. Same thing happens with cigarettes. That's why when people come down to 1 a day, they say, seem to have more energy right now. It's not going to last, by the way. But that does happen when you start to wean off. You seem to get this boost of weird energy. Anyways, so what I'm talking about is the cycle of the nicotine withdrawal. When you smoke it, it gets into your brain, and like I said, it leaves pretty quickly. And it sounds good, oh, it leaves quickly. Yeah, but it's chemically interfering with your survival center. So that as it leaves quickly, you now have to do something to get it back so you can survive. At least that's what it's telling your brain. So when you sit around and say, man, I need a cigarette, that's not actually you saying that. That's just the chemical tricking your brain into thinking, we need this or we're going to die. The good news is that doesn't last. In absence of the nicotine, you will no longer be tricked into thinking that. You may be nostalgic about the time you used to smoke and say, man, I love just smoking. The act of smoking was so fun. Well, guess what? I'm not opposed to smoking. I am opposed to nicotine or any drug that's going to trick my survival centers. Anything like that, I don't want that in my body. There's plenty of other things that I can put in my body that I will like just because I like their effects, right? The addiction is more just because I like it, not because it's chemically tricked me and I have to have it or I'm going to die. Anything like that, stay out of my body, which is nicotine. So it doesn't matter if you vape, doesn't matter if you use the patch, the gum. All you're doing is putting a drug into your brain that's chemically tricking you like you're gonna die without it. Like you need air. So again, you can smoke something else that's not gonna do that. Something that you might just enjoy. Like, for instance, I love Popeye's chicken wings. When they're fresh out the grease, like if you go at lunchtime when they're running through so many, you can get a fresh batch. And oh my God, do I love the crispy skin with the cold buttermilk ranch. I'm telling you, it is heaven. And I'm addicted to that. The only difference between that type of addiction and a cigarette nicotine addiction is when I wake up in the morning, I'm not like, oh my God, I need a wing. I need a wing. Is there any wing? Oh God, I don't have any wings. Let me check the glove box. No wings. Holy shit. Popeyes don't open till 8 o'clock at 6 in the morning. I need a wing. You know what? Maybe I can look through the trash can. I might find a little wing with a little bit on it. Because who hadn't been there that smokes and you went and smoked a nasty butt? Don't worry, you don't have to answer. But that's what I'm saying. You weren't smoking that nasty butt, these nasty cigarettes, because you truly, that's what you wanted. That's one of your 3 wishes. No. You're tricked into thinking that because of what the drug is doing to your survival centers. So now that I've got that out of the way, that's what's happening. When you smoke a cigarette, like I said, the levels drop rather quick. You will go into withdrawals within 8 hours. After 8 hours, they're going to start kicking in pretty hard. And at 8 hours, over half of the nicotine that was in your brain and bloodstream is less than 50% after 8 hours. That's how fast it leaves. After 24 hours, there's still traces in your blood. After 48 hours, you are completely depleted of all nicotine in your bloodstream. And at that point, it is almost painful to not smoke. Because remember, your body, your brain at this point is basically suffering. Our survival is at stake here. We have to get more. We have to. That's just a stage you're going to have to go through. It was a decision you actually made unknowingly when you voluntarily put that cigarette into your body. And that's what's happening. And after 72 hours, that's going to be on your 4th day, that's when the nicotine draw will have its sharpest teeth on you. You will be most likely feel sick at times. You might have anxiety. You'll be anxious. Be real short-tempered on people. Remember, you're going to be getting that kick of adrenaline to find something, but you're going to resist finding more nicotine and have to channel that energy into something else. But nevertheless, dude, you'll be quick to snap someone's head off for no real reason. But you can't think, I don't know why I'm like this, because that's what happens in the dog days of this recovery cycle and this withdrawal symptoms that you're going to go through. Is you might forget you're in withdrawals and be like, man, I was much happier when I was smoking. Right? That does not last. And you have to be aware of that going in. Because when you're in it, it feels like forever. I ain't gonna lie, it feels like forever. And if you drag your feet while you're in it, like, oh God, this sucks, guess what? That's going to be one of the worst things you can do, because the chances of relapse at that point are super great. And it's just how you're talking to yourself. And if you can, instead of thinking that, man, I feel like this and I need a cigarette, because that's not true. If you could change that language and that way of thinking to, boy, that cigarette needs some nicotine, that nicotine needs a cigarette. At least now you've placed yourself out of it and you've separated, and now you can point at what the problem is. That nicotine needs a cigarette. I don't want a cigarette, but God, does that nicotine do? Because people say, I need a cigarette. I want a cigarette so bad. Oh my God, I need a cigarette. They're already suffering because you're in withdrawals. So separate your language so that at least you know it's not you that wants the cigarette. You clearly don't want one. You've been trying to quit for years. Right? That's not one of your 3 wishes. You don't want one. The nicotine wants a cigarette. And that will only last for a period on average of about 18 days. After 18 days, does that magically go away? No. At least for me, it did not. But everybody's different. All I'm talking about specifically is that nicotine withdrawal. That ends on average after 18 days. And then you can start to come out of this cloud. Another thing that people fear with regard to quitting cigarettes and nicotine is the weight gain. Well, the weight gain does happen, and the reason that that happens is because, think about it, nicotine is a stimulant. You are actively putting a stimulant into your blood at all times of the day because you're a regular smoker, vapor, whatever. Even the patch, you're just putting a stimulant into yourself. That's why the patches don't work, because they have nicotine in them that is actively tricking your survival center. But if you have a stimulant inside of your blood, your body chemistry is going to adapt to such and stop making as much energy providing vitality for yourself naturally, because we have this supplement already here. So what happens is your body adapts to that supplement, that nicotine stimulant, so that now without that stimulant, you're still an adapted blood, you still have adapted bloodstream, blood chemistry, but now you're adapted as a much low energy individual, lower metabolism, lower blood sugars, to name a couple. And that's why weight gain happens. You're much lower levels. It takes just time to get your blood chemistry back to equilibrium as a normal human. It just takes time. That's the beautiful thing. You can get there. With exercise, you get there phenomenally faster, but you don't even have to be an active cardio person for your blood to naturally find its equilibrium again. You don't need medication or any of that. You just need absence of the thing that you are adapted to. All right? So if you're somebody who is taking, like the patch, or you've weaned down, you say, well, man, I smoke 1 to 2 cigarettes a day. I got it down a lot. Well, it's like, good job. Like, that is a awesome step in the right direction. But a lot of people just stay there. And then they wonder why they're not kicking this cigarette habit. They wonder why, they don't feel happier. They feel low on energy levels. And they're only smoking 1 cigarette a day. I thought once I went down, I was doing a pack a day. And now I'm only doing 1, 2 a day. But I feel worse now than I did when I was smoking all the damn cigarettes. I thought I was supposed to get healthier. So what I'm saying, what that is all about is, think about this. If you smoke a cigarette and within 8 hours the withdrawal symptoms are going to kick in hardcore, if you're only smoking 1 cigarette a day, that means through most of the day, you're going to be in withdrawals hard. And if you're smoking 1 to 2, you're going to be in withdrawals hard till nighttime, and then, okay, I feel better. And then you're going to go to sleep, and 8 hours later, you're going to go back through hard withdrawals. Right when you wake up, oh my God, I need a cigarette. Oh my God, I need a cigarette. You're already in withdrawals. So if you're down to 1 a day, that's great that you've weaned it down, but now it's time to just stop. Because by you continuing to do this 1 cigarette a day, you're just staying in withdrawals now indefinitely. What kind of quality of life is it to live in constant withdrawals? That's why you don't feel good. That's why you're not getting any better. You're just in constant withdrawals now. So in many ways, the constant smoking, you're going to feel way better. Because no withdrawals then. But if you try to quit, you have to walk 18 days of withdrawals. The first 5 being the worst of the worst. And that's just the truth of the matter. So I hope this helps some people out there. I hope this brings things to light that maybe you knew in the past but have forgotten. And now, oh, you know what? That's right.